what is it that what do you do?
What do I do? You know that now I have the courage to say I transform people's life through nutrition and self-love. And I do that for corporate.
Bam. And how long ago was it that you met us?
3 years.
3 years ago. And what were you struggling with back then, and why did you come?
So 3 years ago, I was graduated from another place, and I didn't know really what to do. I'm like, okay, now I have this certification, and I was lucky enough that I stumbled into Deep Dive, a short course that Stacy and Carrie were doing. And I never forget, I was walking through the streets of New York by myself. It was night and raining. I don't know what I was doing there. And I've literally, and I think I've told you before, I fell in love with the voices, with the accent, with the way you were talking. And at that moment, I needed to make a decision. I thought I needed to make a decision. I wanted to do this for a living, what I do now. Mm. And I wanted to move away from my corporate job, which was, by the way, extremely successful, and I was at a very high level position. So that was very scary because that job gave me a lot of security and prestige.
The golden handcuffs.
Yeah. The card, the contract, the title, the name of the company. It all sounded very sexy. And I already have my other certification. I'm like, okay, so I'm hearing that, and what I hear really is a pull to come. Mm. Come. We're going to teach you how. It's okay, just come. And that was the beginning.
How has your life changed?
So it was the perfect transformation, and it was painful also, right? Because I joined, and the whole time I am torturing myself. I'm afraid that my colleagues are going to think less of me. I'm afraid that I felt like coming out of the closet. That's exactly how I feel. I have this thing, and nobody can know. I didn't tell my dad until a year later. And during that year, I kept working on what you taught me with the swish exercise on the phone. I don't know, what was it, 10, 15 minutes. I was afraid to talk. So now I'm a health coach, and I'm going through my other certifications, and I'm afraid to go to the local gym and tell the owner that I'm a health coach now. It's like, I took this other hat, and now I have this other hat on, and guess what? I know nutrition, and I want to do talks. So I felt silly. And we did an exercise, and at the end of the exercise, she did something that I never expected. She said, so when are you going to talk to Michelle? I'm like, what do you mean? We did the exercise. No, let me just hang up now. And she made me give her a date. And I think I said the next day.
Yeah.
I put on my clothes, and I walked. And I talked to her, and she said, oh, my God, that's amazing. We always knew you were ABs. She gave me all of these wonderful things about me, and that's how I started, right? It was that walking through that fear. And then I went, all of my colleagues, this is almost ridiculous. When I do a reunion of my first clients, they all became my clients. My ex-boss's wife. These are the people that I thought were going to laugh at me. And that has continued to transition.
So then you did leave your corporate job.
I did.
You did. And how, that was, I know you were making a really big income there. And you started to do high-end programs. So what was around the price point of your first high-end program, and what is it now?
The first high-end, I don't know if it was, but to me it was my first high-end. It was the $697, 6 weeks. And then it was $997. And then from there, as I continued to, because what they're teaching you what to do. At that moment, I needed the transformation, and I needed the steps.
Yeah.
How the hell do I do an offer? What we did, the offer, the steps. And when I followed that, the first time I remember the first time I said 1,997, 2,000, and the person sitting across, which by the way was one person from corporate. It was a corporate friend or colleague. I said 2,000, and she said, oh my God, I thought it was going to be 10,000.
Turning point, the moment when you realize you are charging way too little.
And guess what my price is? 10,000. Yes, it's 10,000 for the 6 months program.
$10,000 for 6 months.
Yeah, and 6,000 for the 3 months. And I decide on the closing the deal conversation, what is it that depending on the client, I am free. I can make the decision on this person. It's I'm going to be able to tolerate this for 6 months, or for 3 months, and I love to have that flexibility.
And would you be willing to share what is your monthly, or this year, what are you on track to earn?
I do want to say that when my turning point, there were so many, but the biggest one is that when I came to this type of congregation, right, I was feeling that I had to corporate was bad. I didn't want to be corporate. I didn't want to dress corporate. I didn't want to be associated with that, even though I was scared to death. And what Carrie taught me in one short conversation, she said, but how about the training, the mentoring, what you learned there, the lessons you were at that level? Can you just transfer that that's your toolbox? So I physically felt, I'm very visual, so I felt like I had this amazing toolbox. So while my health coaching, my nutrition business is growing, I did not do any marketing, but I was ready because I acknowledged the toolbox that corporate gave me all of those years, and I started getting corporate clients. My first corporate client was a 3-month program, and I sold that for $4,800 because I thought, I used to do executive coaching. I used to hire them, like, they might not have a big budget. Who am I to say? The same client I just closed 2 clients at $20,000 each.
Woo!
And it's because I acknowledged, like, every part of me, even the ones I thought I didn't like, the ones that I thought would not make me, too corporate, they're not going to want that. When I embrace myself, who I am, where I come from, what I learned, my culture, everything, then the clients start. I do a lot of marketing and I do work on my business, but it's beautiful when you have a happy client, they're going to tell others. They tell others and they call you. And when you have the tools and originally the scripts that I don't need anymore, the training wheels, let me tell you, when I talk to my clients about limiting beliefs and I eventually tell them what it is, they think I'm a genius. I'm like, thank you. They're like, wow, you're so smart. I'm like, yeah. It's true, it feels good.
Something else that you mentioned was about celebrating on the way, because people probably out there will look at you and they're just starting out, and now you've been in this for a couple years, so can't even fathom charging $20,000.
By the way, I would say a couple years, 3 years.
3 years.
That's not very long.
No.
In the course of many careers, that's just getting the education.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So that is in a very short period of time to get to where you've gotten.
But I couldn't have done it without, I kept saying, yeah, I told you one day, like, whatever else you offer, I'm there. It didn't matter if I had it or didn't have it, if it's the same thing or looks similar, because it is going through like you did. You went through the same material again. Coming here and hearing you wakes up that spark again and again and again. The Moneyball exercise, it was as valuable. I've done that 6 times. It was as valuable today as the first time.
Yeah.
And I was as scared today as the first time because it keeps changing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
you asked me something that I didn't
Well, it was
respond.
just about remembering to celebrate.
I'll celebrate. So, yeah, you know that I wrote a book because I finally came to accept myself, and that book became a bestseller. Yeah. And
You want to share the title? you want to share the title?
The title is, well, I was going through menopause then. It was Gone in a Flash. It's a 10-day detox to tame menopause, get slim and sexy. And that book sells by itself. But that book is it's me through the book again. And so all of this happens. It's a lot of work, right? It was 9 months to get the book. I keep creating programs. And it was not until to be here in the panel, we had to, review what have we done. This was just like a month ago. And it's when I'm like, oh my God, I realized that I was not taking the time to look back. I keep looking like, oh, now I have that other goal. It's there. And I'm like, wow. 3 years, holy shit. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And the last little piece, right before we complete here, but what about all those people who are like, I can't go forward because I don't know my niche?
School us.
Help us, Carmen, help us.
The niche, that's a bad word. No, it used to be for me. So that was a major source of stress for me, which eventually I learned that it was just me hiding on an excuse that I can't choose the niche, but it was an obsession that led me to nothing. Because I don't know the niche, and what if I change the niche, and what's happening with the niche, and then...
Sounds like an allergic reaction.
Totally paralyzed by the niche.
There's itches and niches.
Listen,
we need a Dr. Seuss book.
I was 49 years old 3 years ago, and I'm learning something. I mean, I learned niche in school, but it's not the same. So the first fear is, first, I want to help everyone. So many people I want to help. And second, if I choose you, then I'm losing money. But all of this is happening, and nothing is happening, right?
Yeah.
And I decide, or I read it somewhere, I don't know where I got this from. I'm like, what if, my ex-husband, who's a very good friend, he was in Match.com. And he was telling me, oh my God, this dating process is exhausting, but I'm going to find the one. And every time I date someone, and he would go out, I would keep the kids, so he will learn more of what he wanted. He's my best friend, by the way, so we have these conversations. I'm like, oh my God, that's the niche. What if I view the niche as a dating game or a dating experience? I'm going to date one niche. Date just poquito, no mucho, poquito. A few weeks, a month, a program. So I did that, and I thought because I didn't want to be myself, I didn't want to be corporate. I thought I wanted to help stay-at-home moms. That are approaching 50, so they're the same age, and the kids are leaving, except I don't have anything in common. I couldn't talk to them. I can't relate. But I had to date that niche. My ex-husband had to go out with a woman that ran out of his house when he said he didn't love her, right? For example. And then after that, I dated another niche. Getting better. I dated 3 or 4 only. One time. It was one date. One client.
But I love what you're saying, because you've got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And you make a choice, and it doesn't mean that you have to marry the niche.
You don't have to marry the niche. And it keeps changing.
Yeah, and just to presence again, this has been 3 years for you.
Yes.
You went on some dates in 3 years and still had the kind of success that you had. So yes. It's not like you were fumbling for 10 years trying to figure out, I'm going to date every niche in town.
But you know what? When you do that, I feel, imagine a dog whistle, right? When you go like that, the first time I tried one, nothing, you don't hear anything. Who hears it? That's what having my ideal client identified for now, the one I have, feels like me. I blow the whistle, and the ideal client comes because he or she's listening to the words I'm talking because I'm talking to him or her. And that is powerful. And I might change it next year again and do a different program. Even JJ Virgin is changing diet to mindset now.
Yes.
Exactly.
We all do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Want to hear more true stories from HCI graduates? Click on the ebook below to see more living examples of graduates from all over the world making a great living while making a difference. You'll see where they live, who they work with, and how much they typically earn in a given month. Just click on the ebook below right now to see our grads reveal their true stories.